Nuggets won the NBA championship in 2023, but since then have struggled in the postseason despite Nikola Jokic continuing to play at an MVP level. They have not made it back to the Western Conference Finals, suffering back-to-back losses in the second round to the Timberwolves and Thunder. And recently, owner Josh Kroenke floated the possibility of moving Jokic should disaster strike. Take a listen.
For us as an organization, going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trading number 15. And so, we're very conscious of that pushing forward.
You guys have obviously been around Nikola. You probably, I would expect, be looking to offer him an extension over the course of this summer. Do you expect to be offering that, and do you expect him to accept it?
We're definitely going to offer it. I'm not sure if he's going to accept it or not, because we're also going to explain every financial parameter around him signing now versus signing later. Be completely transparent. That's the way we always are. And then he makes the best decision for himself and his family, and we'll support him in it.
McMahon, coming to you on this. Do you feel like the Nuggets winning the title?
Of course they have. Why else would they have fired their general manager and head coach with, whatever it was, like a few games left in the regular season? So that was an admission that they had failed. That was an admission that the direction of the franchise was going the wrong way. They had to get things turned around. Now, they've got some work to do, but they were the team that pushed the Thunder to 7 games in the Western Conference playoffs. They were the biggest challenger to the Thunder. But yeah, when you have a talent like Nikola Jokic, a historically dominant player like Joker, if he wins a title in his career, then it's only one championship. Like Dirk Nowitzki won only one championship in Dallas. That is not squeezing the most out of that level of Hall of Fame talent.
Keith?
I wouldn't necessarily say fell, right? Because they've had good seasons, 57 and 25 one year. They lost to a good Minnesota team in Game 7, and like Tim just said, you went to the second round last year and lost to the eventual NBA champions in Game 7, right? So I wouldn't say fell. You had to move some pieces around, but the pieces that you move around, the guys that stepped in those positions, they grew. It wasn't like that they just lost those pieces and nobody was able to step in. If Aaron Gordon isn't hurt and has a hamstring injury, that game might go different. So you never know. I wouldn't say failed them, because they've always had successful regular seasons and went to Game 7. The ball can fall either way, and you had a big injury. They did a great job of keeping their core pieces together. So I necessarily wouldn't say failed. It just fell a little short.
Couple things. This is a reminder of how thin the margins are in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets blew a 20-point lead to the Minnesota Timberwolves 2 years ago in Game 7 of the second round at home. If they win that game, they were the team the Celtics always were afraid of last year. I think they repeat as champions. Instead, they lose in the second round. You come back this year, as Keith said, Aaron Gordon gets hurt. You push the Thunder all the way as far as they can go. They're up 8 in the fourth quarter of Game 4 at home. They win that game. I think they go on to win the championship. They do not. The Thunder beat them. The Thunder go on to win the title. So I don't know if I would say they failed because of that, but they did not get to what their objective was, right? Which, again, to Tim's point, Calvin Booth gets fired at the end of the regular season. Michael Malone gets fired at the end of the regular season. Calvin Booth said after they won the first title, they could win 3 or 4 with this group. Well, they haven't got back to the conference finals since. So that is a failure. That is why they have a new coach and front office. Also, I feel bad a little bit for Josh Kroenke. We in the media always want people to be honest. Those are 2 honest answers, right? I think very direct and fair answers. Like, hey, we're going to talk to Nikola Jokic about all the financial questions that come with this extension. Hey, if we have some devastating injury like what happened with Boston, we have to examine our future. Then it turns into, oh man, the Nuggets, they're going to think about trading Nikola Jokic. Why are they saying this? I mean, look, the bigger question I have for Josh Kroenke and Denver is, this is a team that is consistently not paid up to the level required, and with the money that they have at their disposal, the Kroenkes have as much money as any ownership group in the league. This is a team that has lacked in depth, that has lacked in, spending on front office talent in the past. They now have a co-GM situation, which is an interesting setup. It's not a traditional one in the league. So to me, it's about going forward. What are the Denver Nuggets going to do to continue to put Nikola Jokic in positions where he does have chances to win a championship? Because this is the guy who's the best player on the planet. He should be fighting for championships, not repeatedly losing in the second round of the playoffs like he has the last couple of years.
Big man, before I come to you, I just had to push back on one thing you said. I'm
Sure.
100% with you in terms of we asked for honesty and transparency and then we crucified him. But in that same breath, you just said it, best player on the planet. Like, you cannot say that publicly about your best player that you'd consider trading him. It's sacrilegious.
I know, but it's not.
I understand your sentiment, but we're talking about Jokic.
Well, I don't think he was actually saying we're going to trade Nikola Jokic. So that's the thing. But again, it's like this
He floated it. McMahon?
Yeah, I bet you if Josh Kroenke had that to do over again, he wouldn't have said anything about trading 15. It's not something that he ever wants to do. That's the point he was trying to make, but you don't even want to bring that point up. But listen, they've got a lot of work to do this all season. They've got to figure out which of their young players that maybe Michael Malone did not want to play, that they think they can bet on, that they think they can trust. And they have also got to figure out, is Michael Porter Jr. part of this core going forward, or do they need to continue to explore the trade market for him and maybe make a move there?
All right, guys, I want to push it forward. We've alluded to it quite a bit this morning, just all the injuries in the East, how people need to capitalize, and a lot of them happen to be Achilles. So Tyrese Halliburton went down with an Achilles, as we mentioned, injury, Game 7 of the NBA Finals after an all-time playoff run. Devastating timing. He wasn't the only star in the East to go down with that injury, joining Jason Tatum and, of course, Damian Lillard. So Adam Silver spoke about this issue with our Malika Andrews yesterday. Let's take a listen, guys.
So we had 7 this year. We had 0 last year under the exact same circumstances. You know, it's interesting, when we look back at the last 10 years, the majority of the Achilles injuries have happened before the All-Star break. So it's not clear it's the number of games. Some experts think it may have more to do with youth basketball. You know, this is one area where AI, people are talking about how that's going to transform so many areas. The ability with AI to ingest all video of every game a player's played in to see if you can detect there's some pattern that we didn't realize that leads to an Achilles injury, whether it's associated with calf injuries. We really don't know, but we're taking it very seriously.
Markeith, I saw you give a little chuckle when we talked about AI. How big of a deal is this issue?
I was chuckling at the AI and the youth basketball thing. I don't really know what that is about, but I mean, it's unfortunate, right? To have 0 last year and to have 7 this year is just a big change. I don't really know what the deal is, but a lot of these guys did have calf injuries. I know Dame was coming off a blood clog in his calf, and Tyrese had come off a strained calf, so you know it kind of leaned right into the Achilles injury. With the rest of the guys, I don't really know, right? So it's just one of those things where it's just unfortunate, if you ask me, because guys go through a long, grueling season, and to have 0 last year and to have 7 this year, it's just if you asking me, it's an imbalance, and it's just unfortunate. It's not really too many things you can put your number on.
We spend so much time talking about players missing games, right? It's one of the biggest topics around the NBA. And to Adam Silver's point, that is what the league is trying to figure out. Why are players getting hurt? Why are players having these Achilles injuries? And not just Achilles injuries, injuries across the board. NBA teams spend so much more time and energy and money on keeping players healthy.